In the heart of Atlanta, where history and progress intertwine, the soft light of dawn painted the quiet streets in hues of orange and pink. Birds sang harmoniously from the treetops as early risers jogged through the city's Central Park. Eric Williams, a celebrated Black Olympic athlete, was among them, his tall, muscular frame moving rhythmically along the path. Years of relentless training had forged him into a paragon of strength and precision. These morning runs were his sanctuary, a way to ground himself amidst the pressures of fame and a demanding career. Eric's journey to success was anything but smooth. Growing up in a tough South Atlanta neighborhood rife with crime and poverty, he had witnessed his community's struggles firsthand. His father's departure left his mother, Patricia, to raise 3 children alone. Patricia worked tirelessly, juggling jobs as a waitress and a laundress, to keep her family afloat. Eric's most defining moment came in high school when he won his first amateur boxing match. Seeing his mother's pride and joy at his victory fueled his determination to rise above adversity. On this particular morning, Eric's run seemed routine. The park's peaceful ambience cloaked an undercurrent of tension that he could not perceive. A sleek black car idled silently at the park's entrance, its occupant watching Eric's every move with an unsettling intensity. Further down the trail, a police cruiser rolled into the park, its presence barely registered with Eric, who had long since learned to coexist with the pervasive scrutiny of law enforcement in his old neighborhood. Unbeknownst to him, Officer Thomas Blake, a middle-aged cop with a reputation for harshness, had singled him out. Blake's eyes followed Eric with a mixture of suspicion and prejudice. Eric's pace faltered when the cruiser abruptly blocked his path. The officer emerged, his hand resting ominously on his baton. "What are you doing here?" Blake's voice cut through the morning stillness. Eric stopped, his hands visible to avoid any misunderstanding. "Good morning, officer. Just out for a run." Blake's tone turned sharper. "This park doesn't open until sunrise." "Show me your ID," Eric explained calmly. "I don't carry ID when I jog, but I live a few blocks away." Blake's demeanor shifted to overt hostility. "No ID? What are you hiding?" "I'm not hiding anything," Eric replied, maintaining his composure. But Blake's aggression escalated. He drew his baton, barking orders for Eric to raise his hands and stay still. Years of boxing reflexes kicked in when Blake suddenly swung at Eric. Dodging the blow, Eric countered with a defensive punch that sent the officer staggering. The park fell silent, the tension palpable. Laura Miller, an early jogger, had been an unwitting witness. From behind a tree, she recorded the incident on her phone, her hands trembling as she captured the unfolding events. Moments later, the wail of approaching sirens shattered the quiet. More officers arrived, guns drawn. Eric complied with their demands, his hands raised as he knelt on the gravel path. Eric was arrested and taken to the station, his mind replaying memories of systemic injustice he had witnessed in his youth. He thought of his best friend, Jamal, who had been wrongfully jailed years ago. Now, Eric feared he might face a similar fate. At the station, Eric was introduced to his lawyer, Vanessa Reed, a sharp and determined attorney known for taking on cases of systemic injustice. She explained that he was being charged with assaulting a police officer. Eric's disbelief turned to anger when Vanessa revealed that surveillance footage from the park had mysteriously disappeared. Vanessa vowed to uncover the truth. She reached out to investigative journalist Mark Sullivan, who had exposed police corruption in the past. Together, they began piecing together the events. Mark's inquiries led him to a nervous park maintenance worker named Greg, who confessed that Officer Blake's colleague, Matt Grayson, had ordered him to delete the footage. Meanwhile, Vanessa tracked down Laura, the jogger who had recorded the altercation. Initially hesitant, Laura ultimately decided to share her video, realizing its importance in exposing the truth. Mark's investigative article, combined with Laura's footage, created a public outcry. Protests erupted, demanding justice for Eric. Human rights organizations and community leaders rallied behind him, forcing the legal system to scrutinize the case more closely. The courtroom was packed on the day of Eric's trial, Vanessa's cross-examination of Officer Blake revealed inconsistencies in his account. When Laura's video was presented, showing Blake initiating the violence, the courtroom buzzed with shock and outrage. The jury deliberated briefly before delivering their verdict. Not guilty. Eric's acquittal was celebrated as a victory for justice, but he viewed it as just the beginning. Determined to make lasting change, he established Williams Hope, a community center in his old neighborhood. The center offered boxing classes, educational programs, and mentorship opportunities for young people. Over time, the center became a symbol of resilience and unity. Eric's story inspired reforms in law enforcement practices, including mandatory body cameras and independent review boards for complaints against officers. His advocacy extended to public speaking and collaborations with policymakers to address systemic inequities. Meanwhile, Blake faced legal consequences for his actions. Stripped of his badge, he served time in prison, where he began reflecting on his choices and seeking redemption. His journey, though difficult, highlighted the possibility of change even for those who had strayed far from the path of justice. Eric's life became a testament to the power of perseverance and unity. Through Williams' hope and his advocacy, he helped transform his community and inspired others nationwide to stand against injustice. The mural on the center's wall, depicting Eric with his fist raised in triumph, became a beacon of hope, reminding everyone that justice is not just an ideal but an achievable reality. As Williams' hope grew, so did Eric's influence. The community center's success caught the attention of national media and nonprofit organizations, resulting in generous funding that allowed for an expansion of its programs. New facilities were added, including a library, a computer lab, and a multipurpose hall for community events. These resources became lifelines for local youth, providing opportunities that had once seemed out of reach. One of the center's standout initiatives was a mentorship program led by Eric himself. He worked closely with young people, sharing not only his boxing expertise, but also life lessons about resilience, discipline, and integrity. Among his ments was a teenager named Marcus, who reminded Eric of himself at a younger age. Marcus had faced challenges growing up in a single-parent household and was on the verge of dropping out of school when he joined the program. Under Eric's guidance, Marcus discovered a passion for boxing and eventually became a state champion. His transformation inspired others in the community, proving that with the right support, anyone could overcome adversity. Outside the ring, Eric's advocacy continued to ripple across the nation. He was invited to speak at universities, conferences, and civic events, where he shared his journey and called for systemic change. His speeches resonated with audiences, blending heartfelt personal anecdotes with calls to action. One of his most memorable addresses took place at a national summit on justice reform, where he emphasized the importance of community-driven solutions. We cannot rely solely on policymakers to create change, Eric declared to a standing ovation. Real transformation begins with us. In our neighborhoods, schools, and homes, we must hold each other accountable and support one another in building a more just and equitable society. Meanwhile, Vanessa Reed's legal prowess continued to shine. She took on more cases involving police misconduct, earning a reputation as a fearless advocate for the underrepresented. Her partnership with Eric deepened, as they often collaborated on initiatives to educate communities about their rights and empower them to seek justice. Together, they launched workshops and seminars at Williams Hope, equipping attendees with the tools to navigate the legal system and advocate for themselves. Mark Sullivan's investigative journalism also played a pivotal role in sustaining momentum for reform. His in-depth reporting on cases of systemic injustice shed light on the broader issues affecting marginalized communities. Mark's work not only amplified Eric's story, but also brought attention to countless others who had suffered in silence. His articles sparked conversations at local and national levels, prompting lawmakers to take action. The ripple effects of Eric's trial and subsequent activism extended beyond Atlanta. Other cities began implementing policies inspired by the changes Eric had championed. Community centers modeled after Williams Hope sprang up across the country, creating safe spaces for young people to learn, grow, and thrive. These centers became hubs of innovation and collaboration, fostering a new generation of leaders committed to social justice. Amid these developments, Eric remained deeply connected to his roots. He often visited the neighborhoods he had grown up in, engaging with residents and listening to their concerns. These visits served as reminders of why he had embarked on this journey in the first place. Despite his growing fame, Eric's humility and authenticity endeared him to the community, reinforcing their trust and admiration. In the years that followed, Eric's vision continued to evolve. He established a foundation to support initiatives aimed at addressing systemic inequities in education, healthcare, and criminal justice. The foundation's programs ranged from scholarships for underprivileged students to grants for grassroots organizations working to combat inequality. Eric's commitment to creating lasting change earned him recognition as a trailblazer in the fight for justice. Back at Williams Hope, the mural of Eric with his fist raised remained a powerful symbol of perseverance and unity. Beneath it, new generations of young people found inspiration and guidance. Among them was Jasmine, a gifted artist who had initially come to the center for its after-school programs. Encouraged by Eric and the staff, Jasmine used her talent to create art that told stories of resilience and hope. Her work eventually gained national acclaim, and she credited the center with giving her the confidence to pursue her dreams. Meanwhile, Thomas Blake's path to redemption continued in quiet obscurity. In prison, he participated in rehabilitation programs that encouraged self-reflection and accountability. Through therapy and education, Blake began to confront the prejudices and abuses of power that had defined his career. His journey was far from easy, but it underscored the potential for growth and change, even for those who had fallen deeply into corruption. As Eric reflected on the impact of his work, he recognized that his journey was far from over. The challenges facing his community and others like it were deeply entrenched, requiring sustained effort and collaboration. Yet, he remained hopeful, drawing strength from the progress he had witnessed and the unwavering support of those around him. One evening, as the sun set over Atlanta, Eric stood outside Williams Hope and watched children playing in the courtyard. The laughter and joy in their voices filled him with a sense of fulfillment. He knew that each step forward, no matter how small, was a victory worth celebrating. With renewed determination, he resolved to keep pushing for a future where justice and opportunity were not privileges, but rights accessible to all. Eric's story serves as a testament to the power of resilience, unity, and the unwavering belief in the possibility of change. Through his efforts, he transformed his community and inspired countless others to join the fight for a fairer, more equitable world. And in the hearts of those who knew him, Eric Williams remained a symbol of hope, proving that even in the face of adversity, the human spirit can triumph.